Folks, we're visiting today with Alan Neal. He is the owner, CEO, founder of Neal Forest Products. Alan, thanks for being on the podcast with us today.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
Positively West Virginia is powered by Breezeline high-speed fiber internet and sponsored by Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Key of Morgantown, and Storymaker. With the help of these sponsors, we are able to share the positive business stories of West Virginians, including the one featured in today's episode.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to learning about your story, relocating here to West Virginia, your business. Alan, tell us a little bit about Neal Forest Products.
Yes, sir, Jim. So we're actually a secondary lumber producer. So we take what most people think of as just green lumber or kiln-dried lumber, rough lumber, and we make it into finished goods, whether it be crown molding, S4S, a lot of cabinet builders use, and a variety of materials.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, Alan, you and I were connected, I believe, by Amber Higgins, who works at the Barber County Development Authority, said, hey, I've got a great Barber County story. And Barber County's gone through some tough times with the closing of the college and university down there, but here you are moving from South Carolina into West Virginia, Barber County, Belington?
Correct.
Area. And so tell us a little bit about, how you ended up here in West Virginia. What brought you here?
Well, it started about 6 years ago, Jim. We first time we came up with Snowshoe Resort, and we had a wonderful experience there, me and my wife, for our anniversary. And then we came up about once a year ever since in just different areas. And I'm an outdoorsman. I love to fly fish. I love to deer hunt, and I love timber. And I tell you,
West Virginia,
West Virginia is
that's great,
wild and wonderful. I love it. I love the slogan,
yeah.
And you know what? I love the people I've met up here.
Yeah.
So
I often say, we do have a beautiful state, but I think the people that you meet and you interact with and just run into in these little small towns or even in the bigger communities are just that's the differentiator for me in West Virginia, is the people.
Right.
So that's very cool. So, I want to know, Alan, how did you get interested in the wood products, the forest products industry to begin with? What's your background?
So actually, my background is actually electronics, and I actually worked for a power company at a nuclear site, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And it all started one day when I was cutting trees around my home in South Carolina.
Yeah.
And so at the time, I cut some big, beautiful white oaks down, and they were in the way. And I was getting ready to burn them, just like most people do. Just chop them up and just have a bonfire, right?
Yeah.
And I just got thinking, I said, it takes so long for this tree to get this size.
Yeah.
Is there something else I could do with this? And so jumped in Google, right? We all use Google, and started researching and talked to some local guys, and they hooked me up with some other people. And I actually had some logs that qualified for what they call stave logs, which is a very good log, and that's actually what the whiskey makers use for their barrels.
Yeah, so the whiskey staves.
Yeah, the
barrel
whiskey
staves.
stave,
Yeah.
the barrel staves.
Yeah.
And so the guy bought them for that. And so I was like, wow. And actually, paid pretty decent, a lot better than just chopping them up, burn them in a bonfire, right?
Yeah.
And so starting there kind of got me interested. And first generation, I didn't grow up in the business. But I enjoy being around trees. I enjoy being outdoors in trees. And then I enjoy using, when it's time for their life cycle to end, I enjoy using that product for what you and I enjoy every day.
Yeah, it's a sustainable,
best sustainable resource we have.
Whether it's hardwood flooring or a beautiful molding in your home, that product can go on and far beyond its life, right? Lifespan.
Yep.
So I love the sustainable aspect of that. Now, I mentioned Barber County Development Authority. How did you pick Barber County of all the places in West Virginia?
One thing led to another, and just had a facility that a guy owned down there, very nice guy, and we talked about everything, and he gave me an opportunity to start the process there. So that's and you know, I was kind of wanting to be around the Hardwood Alliance zone.
That's right.
In Barber County, which is in that zone.
Yeah.
So
that's great
for my future growth and maybe some education and stuff, what we could do.
So you don't have to tell any secret sauce or anything like that, but was this an existing hardwood industry type business? Was it a production facility?
Kinda.
Yeah.
I guess what I understand the history, there was some stuff made there years ago.
Yeah.
But it had been sitting idle for years and years.
Basically, again, taking a factory, a production facility that was past its end life, and now you're breathing new life into this place.
We're trying to. Yep,
okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool in itself, right?
That's it. Yep.
All right. So again, going back to that sustainability, because I believe, sometimes the hardwood industry gets a bad rap, for, why you guys cutting those trees down, like, kind of like you were going to burn them in a, no, we've got a game plan here. We're going to re-timbering, and we're going to be sustaining these forests.
That's it.
When you think about the forest business here in West Virginia, and I'm just thinking about, I'm looking at this beautiful painting of the North Fork Mountain, and it's all you see is trees.
That's it.
I mean, there's trees everywhere in West Virginia.
Yep.
But we've got to be good stewards of the resources too. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, just right quick, Jim. So actually, my background for the first, I just turned 40 years old.
Okay.
Probably about the first 20 years of my life, I was, not to mean anything by this, but I was kind of considered a tree hugger, I guess you would say. Mm. So anytime trees were cut, I was like, I hated it.
Yeah.
I really did. And I was like, man, it just looked horrible, and it just, it's just messing up the environment is what I thought.
Yeah.
Well, little did I realize as I got some more education upon the subject that it's actually a good thing for the health of the forest. And if humans don't do anything, they're dying anyway. Yeah. The trees will die.
That's right.
And what happens is, that dies and that allows, habitat for wildlife, and then allows new growth to take off.
That's right.
And so I kind of had a, really a 180. Yeah. And said, you know what, it's not a bad thing if it's managed correctly.
That's right. And
responsibly, yeah.
Yeah. I love it, the fact that you were cutting down some large white oaks on your property they were in the way,
yep.
You said.
Yep.
And that really spawned this whole, shift in your career path, your mission, the vision for your family, moving from South Carolina to West Virginia. It's an amazing story, Alan,
it is.
And I think that's pretty cool.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Jim.
All right, good. This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
Your prescriptions are designed to keep you healthy, active, full of life. At Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're making vital medicine more affordable. Because when your prescriptions don't cost an arm and a leg, you can use those limbs for something more meaningful. Because life. Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, West Virginia.
Folks, we're visiting with Alan Neal. He's with Neal Forest Products right there in Barber County in Belington, West Virginia. Alan, I want to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit more about, the specifics of your business, like the products that you're known for. You mentioned moldings, hardwood floor, cabinetry, and stuff like that. But talk a little bit more about like what you see like every day. What's the thing you're known for?
Sure. Really we're a threefold business,
okay.
And so we kind of get away from stuff that you can just a norm, I guess you would say. So we will actually run custom trim packages for people's houses that want something unique. And, here recently I had a quote for all black walnut moldings and stuff in the house,
wow.
And just different things that it's hard to find.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah. And so we're a small company, but we can focus on the customer more. It ain't all about the sale. Mm-hmm. So, if someone comes to me and says, I want this custom package, we can do that.
Yeah.
On the flip side, we have our cabinet customers. Those guys are producing that wonderful, sustainable product every week, 52 weeks a year.
Mm-hmm.
And so we like to supply them with certain components they use. And then the other side of it is wide plank hardwood flooring. Mm. So we try to, nothing really under 4 inches. 4 to 8 inches is kind of where we make our hardwood flooring. But most of the time it's 2 foot to 8-foot lengths, which is not the industry norm. And we don't get into what you call a oak strip flooring, which is basically the cutoffs from other processes. We'll make a true floor out of regular lumber.
Yeah.
So it ain't necessarily the rejects.
Yeah.
So we'll make a unique character grade floor if someone wants that.
That's great. As you're talking, I'm just envisioning these beautiful hardwood floors and wide planks, and
That's it.
that's awesome stuff.
Yep.
So I appreciate you sharing that. You know, if I asked you to tell us your 30-second pitch for Neal Forest Products, Alan, what would you say? Like if we were meeting for the first time, I said, Alan, what do you do?
You know what? I take a wonderful God-given product and turn it into a finished good that a homeowner or a corporation, company, whoever it may be, can use. And, you know, it's been proven that, you know, real wood brings enjoyment to people, relaxation to people. And, you know, at the end of the day, we all enjoy nature. And you're taking a little bit of nature and putting it in your home.
Yeah.
You know?
That's great.
So
Very eloquent. And I appreciate you saying that. Alan, you know, what would you say is the thing you're most excited about for your company right now?
Well, right now, the biggest priority on my list right now, number one, is getting some machines and stuff running here in Belington, West Virginia. So we're having some power issues trying to get everything connected right and trying to get stuff flowing. So hopefully to be a blessing to that small community, hopefully to pick up some people to help work with us. Yeah. But also I'm focusing on, primarily on e-commerce. You know, I made my first shipment not too long ago to Colorado, and, you know, people have been calling me from Philadelphia and places like that, and it helped me realize that, you know, these people are wanting these products and they can't find them in these big cities. So, you know, what we're blessed with in West Virginia, I'm wanting to take and put it on an e-commerce platform and hopefully ship right to their home.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's the next priority on our list.
So you can ship directly to consumer.
That is correct.
Or maybe it's a builder and they've got a spec for this home. Maybe it's a beautiful mountain home or something in Colorado, and they say, hey, this guy can, you know, Alan Neal, I think, is our guy. He can fulfill the need.
That's it.
And so they'll call you or get on your website and that kind of thing. All right, that's very cool. Where's your customer base? Now, you've been in business for a while, right? In South Carolina,
about 4 years.
4 years. Yep. Where's your customers? Where are they coming from?
A little bit everywhere.
All over the place.
Yeah, a little everywhere. So a lot of high end custom homes, and just those people that want something unique, but also people as family online just by, you know, Googling my business or whatever, and called me up from different states, and we've shipped to different states. Yeah. So just a little bit of, and of course, cabinet manufacturers. Yeah. You know, those guys, they make a wonderful product, and we just want to be a good supplier for them.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's pretty cool. You know, I think about, you know, building a cabinet. You have to have good raw materials, and those are craftsmen.
That's correct.
Men and women that are building cabinets, I suppose. But and you kind of you mentioned that, you know, you mentioned God, the Lord, providing the trees, but, you know, Jesus was a carpenter. He worked with wood.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's kind of cool too. You know, you're able to tie those two things together. Do you have employees now in South Carolina or up here?
Well,
tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're moving up here, so we try to maintain. You know, we're smaller, 4 to 5 currently, and then hopefully as we're getting the power turned or tied in, hoping to hire a few more. Yeah. So it'll be a gradual, hopefully ramp up, and we're really trying to do the internet, the e-commerce, and see how that goes.
What's one of the most interesting orders you've had to fill since you've been in business? Like something that stood out.
Well, actually, it was an order from a man who had a storm come through, and it took out some of his white oaks in his yard. Well, him and his wife had planted those white oaks, and his wife passed away about 4 years ago, I think it was. And so he wanted those products made into flooring for his house. So she helped him plant those trees. They grew. I want to say there was like 50-something-year-old trees.
Wow.
And then she passed, and then he made them into a product that went into the house that he could always think about her.
Wow.
So that was a unique.
Alan, that's an amazing story
That's
right
unique,
there. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Yeah, I mean, it kind of warms your heart just hearing that.
It does.
You know?
It does.
And that's gotta fire you up.
Oh, I
to
love
what you do.
And you know, Jim, we specialize in that.
Yeah.
You know, there's a big disconnect. You know, when people think about timber industry, you got your loggers.
Yeah.
And you know, I want more emphasis promoted for some of these guys. You know, a logging job ain't easy.
Oh, it's dangerous too.
It's very dangerous. And you know, but those guys are good guys.
Yeah.
Very knowledgeable guys, very smart guys. You know, they make whatever they got work to get it to market.
Yeah.
And then it's sawed, and then a lot of times people think you just go to Lowe's and Home Depot and buy these products. But in our case, we can take those trees that your grandpa planted 60 years ago, and we can make them into interior products that you can use in your house.
That not only looks beautiful, but has special meaning.
Has a story.
Yeah, story. I love that. I'll just share something with you. A couple of years ago, we had my wife and I had a red maple that was over 100 years old on our property. Fell during a really bad windstorm. It had some damage, and we had a guy wire to keep it from hitting the house, which it served its purpose. A forester did that for us, you know, an arborist, I guess. Anyway, when that tree fell, it was kind of devastating because we loved looking at that tree. It was a magnificent tree in our backyard.
Right.
And we took it and had a friend who had a sawmill and planed some of the boards down. So we made a couple of tables out of it.
Okay.
The railing around our deck is made out of boards from that tree.
Awesome.
You know, just kind of like spliced in, and it has like the live edge, you know.
Yeah.
And people comment and they say, "Wow, I love this railing that you put on your deck." I said, "What's that tree?" And just part of the stump is still standing there. And they're like, "Wow, you took that tree and made." So I can relate to that, you know, and that's really cool that you're able to have a company that specializes in that. Alan, thanks for sharing that story. This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back. Stay connected with an unbeatable deal from Breezeline. Voted best in Mountaineer Country for their reliable, high-speed fiber internet for a low cost, Breezeline is the best gig in town. You know, here at Interaction Media, we rely on high-speed internet every single day to ensure we can deliver the best content possible for our clients and when we publish Positively West Virginia each week. That's why we use Breezeline. It's affordable, fast, and they're great people as well. Learn more about Breezeline's internet, TV, and mobile options at breezeline.com. Folks, we're back. We're visiting with Alan Neal. He owns Neal Forest Products in Belington, Barber County, West Virginia. Alan, how do you get the word out there? You've been in business 4 years or so. How do you attract new customers and get the word out there?
A lot of us doing like what we're doing now, networking. I'm new to the area, so I guess you could kind of say I'm a little behind the eight ball. As people, you got to build the trust.
Yep.
So just try to talk to people, network, and then the social media presence. I try to do a good bit of that, along with the website that's coming along.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
So hopefully, with all of that, people will understand and find out about me.
That's great.
So.
I mentioned Barber County Development Authority. Amber Higgins connected the two of us, and she's great. She does great work in trying to recruit business there in Barber County. And honestly, the development authorities across West Virginia are trying to do the same thing, get the word out there. Like, how was that working with a development authority? Is it kind of like working with a small business administration? I mean, did they try to offer you incentives, or how does that work? Like locating a company from South Carolina to West Virginia.
Well, it started with the guy that actually owned the old building, and we kind of started with him, and then met Amber. And let me tell you, Amber is she's an awesome lady, and I told her, I said, Amber, just just help keep me straight. You know, if I'm doing something, I'm out there in left field and I should have some kind of permit or something.
Yeah.
Just if you would just help me out there. And she said, absolutely. And so very easy to deal with, down to earth. And I've been real pleased with all of them so far. Just good small town vibes.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, very cool. And you know, when I think about West Virginia, we kind of talked about the people, and you know, the beauty. You're drawn to the outdoors. Your first place that you visited in West Virginia is Snowshoe, which is a magnificent gem of a resort here in West Virginia. Yeah, I think that's really cool. Now, in terms of growing your business here, what do you think is going to be or maybe it is your biggest challenge?
Yeah, I guess in terms of growing, number one, I want the people to realize that, you know, I'm a lot like they are. Where I come from is a very small town, and you know, I've noticed some of the West Virginians that I've talked to, they're kind of shut off a little bit, which is fine, you know, outsider. But I want them to realize I'm not here to change anything. I'm here to enjoy what they've created and hopefully use these products that they're either they're logging, they're sawmilling, whatever they may be doing, and take it to another level. So I just want to be a customer and just build upon kind of what they've already started.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Yeah. What's the vision that you have long term for Neal Forest Products?
To take what the good Lord has blessed us with here in West Virginia, all this wonderful timber, and manage it, be a good steward, make wonderful products for the homeowners, the commercial guys, and be able to produce it and ship it to them for them to enjoy. So that's my long-term goal.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a very clear vision. I have a practical question as you're talking about that. Just kind of popped into my head. But when you say you have an oak tree, you know, 60 years old or whatever, and you harvest that, whether it falls or, you know, whatever, how long does it take to, you know, create a board out of that that's useful? Does it have to dry? Does it have to age? Talk a little bit about the process of that.
Good question, Jim. So they in the hardwood industry versus softwood, there's a big misunderstanding. So in order to do what we do, it has to be kiln dried lumber. And so most of the standard is 6 to 8% moisture content. So when you take that tree that you're talking about, just fell, and then you put it on a sawmill and you saw it, and that's what they call green lumber. You know, it varies, but say it's up to 30-something% moisture content. And so we actually need to, if we can, what they call stack it and sticker it, air dry it. Love to do it for 6 months and then actually kiln dry it
after that.
And the kiln also, it kills funguses and stuff in the lumber. So that's the other part of the kiln process. People don't think about it. It's not only drying it down further, but it's also killing the bugs and the funguses and stuff like that when you put in your house, it's safe.
Yeah, you want to make sure that it's safe. Yeah,
that's it. So, you know, really, I would say safely a good 7 to 8 month turnaround.
Okay.
To do it right.
That's reasonable, though.
It's
really
reasonable. Now, siding, you know, like believe it or not, I just quoted a white oak siding job for a house. It don't have to be that dry. So, you know, that changes things. But for the interior side, roughly about 8 months.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to know. It's fascinating, the industry that you're in. Now, when you were talking about equipment, putting equipment in and you know, power and all that kind of stuff. What are you dealing with? Are you doing like planers, joiners, saws, bandsaws, all the above, the kilns? Is all that going to be in your facility?
Yeah, a little bit of all of it. Okay. So we'll actually be able to take the process from start to finish.
Okay.
Kilns, sawmill, and then the biggest piece of machinery I'm putting in is what they call a molder. So that is a sophisticated machine that puts all these different angles and makes all these different profiles.
Miter cuts.
all kind of
I
cuts.
see. I can't do a miter.
All kind
I'm just that's my nemesis is the miter box.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay.
I wasn't very good at geometry, so I went into journalism.
Okay.
Right.
Well,
But that's you have machinery that'll kind of automate those processes and stuff. That's very cool. Now, will a lot of that be like computer generated or
no,
automation or
not currently.
Yeah.
You know, my equipment's not that sophisticated yet, but they're, you know, in the future,
down the road,
there could come a line where there's some automation.
Yeah, very cool.
For optimizing different wood products.
Yeah, that's very cool. Now, Alan, anytime I have somebody like yourself, a business leader, in the chair across from me, I like to talk about leadership. That's something I'm a student of, and trying to pour into my own brain. But I think it's valuable for our audience too. But when you think about a successful business leader today, what do you think are some of the attributes, or maybe it's one that is important for business today?
I think in like most small businesses, I put a priority on customer service.
Yeah.
You know, just going back to the story I told you about the fellow that trees, his wife helped him plant it.
Yeah.
You know, to the everyday American, they don't think nothing about that. But for him, it's something sentimental. And you know what? So I try to tap into the emotions of people. What do they want? Al and Neal may not want what they want, but they want in their world that product.
Yeah.
And so customer service, putting a priority on it, I think is my number one. And number two, you can ask my wife. We joke about it all the time, but I'm a stickler for time. You know, if you said be here at 1 o'clock today, I'll make sure at least 5 minutes early.
That's right.
So
you were 10 minutes early. I think.
Well, good.
Or
yeah,
maybe 12.
and I hear it all the time. I'm kind of in between. I'm 40 years old. Like I said, I just turned 40, so I'm kind of in between what I call the old timers, and then the younger guys. And you hear the old timers all the time fussing about people not showing up. You know, at the end of the day, I'm giving them my word.
That's right.
And so if I tell them I'm going to be there at 1 o'clock, I'm going to be there unless something happens. So,
great.
And it all ties back into taking care of the customer.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I think what you touched on right there is the customer is the hero of the story.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of my beliefs and how we built our company is we tell great marketing stories, at Interaction Media. But the whole point of it is that nobody really cares about what you do, with all due respect. Nobody cares about what I do. They want to know how I can help them.
That's right.
And that's exactly what you just said right there. I kind of reframed it a little bit, but that's powerful stuff, and thank you for sharing that. Alan is somebody who is not from West Virginia, from South Carolina, but loves West Virginia and its people, and you are moving your business here as we speak. What would you say to somebody thinking about, maybe an expansion of their business, or even maybe looking to move their business, and why West Virginia? What would you say?
I would say if they were looking at West Virginia, number one is don't come here wanting to change things. Change a lot of the good things they have in place. And where I'm coming from is I've seen it happen a lot down in South Carolina. People would move in from out of state and stuff, and me and my wife both born and raised there. Multi-generational family. And they would want to change things first thing. And I'm like, why'd you move to this area that you liked, and then you're trying to change it right to the area you moved from? And so that's the first thing is I would say, you know what, don't come here trying to change people. The people is awesome. So versus try to be a chameleon and mingle with the people and try to help each other. And because there's things that these people know that I don't know, and vice versa. Hopefully I can help them out.
That's great.
So far, like Amber Higgins, like you talked about down in Barber County, I can't speak for every county, but they just been jam up to deal with. Easy going. Somebody like me that I'm kind of an old soul and a young body, I guess you would say. It's just Amber's very personable. It ain't all about just email shooting back and forth. She don't mind a phone call, that good communication, which is important to me.
Absolutely.
And
that's great. No, that's great. That's great advice. And
Yeah.
I think what you're talking about right there is respect as well, right?
Yeah,
And
I guess so.
I think
I
it's
guess
really
so,
good.
Jim.
So, one of the final questions I have, Alan, is have you had, and this is the serious question, have you had a chance to fly fish in West Virginia yet?
Not fly fish.
Okay. So
I was actually.
we got to get you out there.
Yeah, you need to. So I was actually up in Elkins back in March
Yeah.
for some hardwood classes.
Yeah.
And I went with a guy to Cheat River.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the gold rush, I think y'all call it.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to catch these goldfish everywhere.
Golden trout, yeah.
And I realized very quick how educated they are because everybody can see them, So I didn't catch one, but I was just using my spinning rod that day.
A couple of times in the last couple of years, I'll stand in the middle of the stream and I look down and there's 4 or 5 of them right at my waders.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Do they think I'm a tree or what? Talking about trees. That's good stuff, Alan. Well, listen, we've covered a lot in this interview. Is there anything you think our listeners should know about your story or about Neal Forest Products?
No, I would say just going back to the story I told you about the man with the trees. If you have anything like that, reach out to us.
Yeah,
we'll be glad to help you.
that's great.
From start to finish.
And what's the best way for folks to reach out to you?
My phone number 864-723-0185, or you can go onto my website, which is nealforestproducts.com, and enter your email address. We're in the process of taking it live. So we, according to the guy that's doing it for me, we got about 3 more weeks.
Yeah,
I think
great.
we're kind of in the freight side of things, trying to figure out all that. So either way,
That's great.
or Facebook.
Yeah.
Neal Forest Products
Great.
on Facebook. So.
Alan, we'll make sure we have links to all that in the show notes, and make sure, and when this episode goes live, we'll have all the links to you, all those contacts for you, and make sure that folks have an easy way to get in touch with you. Once again, our guest today is Alan Neal with Neal Forest Products. Alan, it's been a real pleasure to have you on the show, to get to know you. Welcome to West Virginia.
Well, thank you, Jim.
Thank you. This is great to have you here. Again, thanks for Barber County Development Authority, Amber Higgins, to connecting us, and really great to be able to tell your story. And I think it's super cool that you are a young guy doing really cool things here in West Virginia, and we appreciate that for sure.
Absolutely.
Having faith in our state to bring your business up here. I think that's really awesome. And I just want to encourage you to keep up the great work.
Thanks, Jim.
Absolutely. Folks, that's a wrap on another episode of Positively West Virginia. If you or someone you know would be a great guest on our show, drop us a line on our website at positivelywv.com. And of course, we appreciate your encouragement along the way, your reviews, and sharing the great stories like Alan Neal's and Neal Forest Products along the way as well. We really do appreciate that. On behalf of our entire Positively West Virginia team, including our producer today, Mr. Jimmy Murray behind the controls, I'm your host, Jim Matuga. Stay positive, West Virginia.
We'd like to thank our partners, Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Kia of Morgantown, Interaction Media, Storymaker, and our studio sponsor, Breezeline, for helping to share these positive stories. If you'd like to become a sponsor of the Positively West Virginia podcast, visit positively.wv.com/sponsor.